Okay, everybody, my name is Dr. John McAtamney. Our guest speaker tonight is Dr. Jason Yuhas from Metuchen Chiropractic.
Hello.
He is the president of the Garden State Chiropractic Society, a graduate of New York Chiropractic College from 1995. Jay, I graduated there in 93, so we might have passed in the halls. Who knows? But in the meantime, Dr. Yuhas, the floor is yours. Go ahead.
Okay. Is there anything anybody wants to know or want to talk about? If not, then I'll talk about my background and maybe some stories and some things like that.
That would be perfect.
Okay. Just my background, as you have heard already. I graduated from New York Chiropractic College in.
The candy is mine. It's all mine now, sweetheart.
Teresa, you're on the mic.
All the candy is mine now. Even my coffee is mine.
John, you need to
Yes, the Christmas coffee is.
There's spam.
Oh, okay. Let me know when we're good.
Hold on, Jason. Yeah.
Hold on a second.
That was
getting rid of the disturbing people.
You got two others.
Wow. This must be a really important meeting if people are trying to stop it.
I'm not a spammer. I'm really here to learn about this. Me too. I promise.
All righty. Just be quiet. Please let the doctor talk. Okay, Joe. Jason, go ahead.
Okay. That was fun. So anyway, I'm a graduate of New York Chiropractic College, and I'm imagining that this is a group with more of a philosophical bend based on the name Band of Brothers. So I'm going to talk a little bit about chiropractic philosophy and my journey and how I came into this chiropractic thing. I grew up, never have gone to a chiropractor before. And my friend Lou, who's an accountant and wanted to be an accountant, he was down in Georgia working in his uncle's accounting office. So you never know how points connect. And there was a guy down there who was at Life University, and he needed people to come in for his internship, to come in and, be a patient. So he explained to my friend Lou all about the nerves, how they go to everything in the whole body, the autonomic nervous system chart, and gave him a really, really good understanding, because he had come back up, and I had been interested in potentially being a chiropractor, not even really knowing what one was. But my background was, and this is not where chiropractic has gone to now. Well, my background was, I was never really a person who was a medical person or wanted medicine. When I was 4 years old, I went to the doctor. Maybe I was 4 or 5 years old. I went to the doctor for strep throat, and they gave me a shot of penicillin, and they gave it to me right in the rear, the right upper quadrant. That's the spot that you give a shot, right in the rear quarter. So they stuck me right in the, what.
Oh,
so
my.
I got the shot, and everything went black, and I didn't say anything. I eventually came to, I didn't need any medical care. So I went home, and I asked my parents, what is an antibiotic and what does it do? And they explained to me about it. And as a 4-year-old kid, I said, I would like my own body's immune system to function. Well, I don't know how many 4-year-olds say that. And I kind of lost track of it. I wanted to go into other careers. And then I kind of thought, like a lot of people, that a chiropractor is a natural back doctor. That's what I thought. So much better to treat a back naturally, I thought in my mind, than to medically address it, because that's where I was oriented, is working more with the body. And we know the philosophy has evolved, that we're not necessarily anti-medical now. We're more chiropractic, like let your body work the way it's supposed to. Of course, that leads to a lot of people who want to probably work more with natural than not. So on that basis, my friend Lou went down to Georgia, and Nick Altadonna, no, not Nick Altadonna, Nick Sedano. I don't know if anybody of you know him. He's a life graduate. It was Nick Sedano down in Georgia who explained to my friend Lou about this autonomic nerve system and how it impacted the whole body, and that, you know, he had asthma and his asthma was better being adjusted. And I know our philosophy has evolved, but this is where it was when I was first going to school. So I was like, oh, okay, we could become a natural back doctor, but it helps other things in the body.
Shut the fuck up.
So off.
I need you to stop. Hold on a second. Would you please, everybody, stop interrupting the doctor?
So we went. I went off to, you know, chiropractic college, and I had never gotten an adjustment. One of the things that stuck in my mind is because I thought an adjustment was too expensive, and I never knew that insurance company might cover it or not cover it. So I had to get a couple of recommendations. So I went to a couple of health talks and visited a couple chiropractors, but I still never really had an adjustment. It's kind of odd to go and start a career not even ever experiencing it. And I went into chiropractic school, and I had worked a lot of manual labor jobs growing up to going through school. And I didn't want to be the guy that stacks jeans in the Gap, you know, and gets $6 an hour. So I did heavy construction, carrying sheetrock and warehouse and loading, unloading trucks. You know, I wanted to make some money. So part of that, I started working in warehouses, not knowing anything, not really knowing how to drive a forklift either. So I'm driving in there, and I flipped over a safe. I put the forks under it. I went to lift it. I flipped it over. So I was very strong as a power lifter back then. I tried to lift the safe myself. I actually got it about 1.5 feet off the ground. And when I got 1.5 feet off the ground, something in my back just gave way. And it felt like I had a knife going through my back. So from that point on,
how did it happen?
Stop interrupting the doctor.
I had this knife-like feeling going straight through my spine, and I entered into chiropractic school with this pain in my spine, not really knowing even that a chiropractor might help it or I should get adjusted. So finally, I'm in school. I'm like, I want to get adjusted. So I'm like, finally, I got somebody to adjust me. It's pretty interesting. I went to NYCC. It was like hard to find somebody who's willing to adjust you, which was interesting because they felt like you had to go through, you know, this rigorous examination and all this stuff to adjust me. And I'm like, I just want to get adjusted. So finally, somebody said, oh, I'll adjust you. So they adjusted me, and I guess they adjusted me in flexion, and they adjusted my thoracic, and that pain that was like that sharp pain, like it felt like a knife, immediately went away. And I was like, whoa, this chiropractic thing is really interesting. I said, man, if everybody gets this, everybody's going to want to do it. And I still didn't know that much about chiropractic philosophy or anything like that. So here we go. I got an adjustment. So that's a start. So, you know, I started student clinic, and I wanted to be the best clinician I possibly could. So, of course, I'm like, I'm going to use all the bells and the whistles and, you know, whatever machines they had there, I wanted to use them, you know. And then I started to realize that these things, I didn't see anything that it was really, really doing. So I said, let me do an experiment. I'm going to do like control A and control B. I'm going to have a certain number of patients that I'm just going to adjust. And I'm going to have a certain number of patients that I'm going to do the therapy and adjust. And what I noticed is, you know, there was no difference between the two control groups. So I was like, man, this is the adjustment really is where it's at. So I got into like, okay, I'm going to be a straight chiropractor. So I'm just adjusting people. So I'm like, why am I adjusting people? So I started researching, and somebody told me about the green books. So I started reading the green books. So I read the green books, and my philosophy began to change, that, chiropractic impacts the whole body. But my philosophy started to change, that, chiropractic heals stuff. If we dumped all the medicine in the sea, it would be bad for the fish and good for humanity, right? You've all heard that quote. And, so all of that stuff. So all of a sudden we're like, all right, chiropractic cures stuff. But then I began to come to another realization, because we just wouldn't take medicine. And if you're a person who doesn't take medicine, I respect that. I tend towards natural things myself. But one of the things I noticed is I got like 102 fever, and I'm having my friend toggle my atlas from this side and that side. And basically my fever didn't go away. I didn't get well, quote, because of the adjustment.
That never happened.
It never happened. Gosh. So anyway, so I began to realize, okay, there's something to this chiropractic thing. It does impact the body, because I saw different things happen when I adjusted people, but I can't really put the conclusion that if somebody has some type of sickness or some type of disease, that sickness or disease is necessarily going to directly go away 100% of the time. So I'm like, so what's going on with this chiropractic thing? And then somebody mentioned there's something called the Blue Books. I'm like, oh gosh, now there's another set of books. I'm like, oh no. So I get the Blue Books, and they're written, as you know, by Joe Strauss, which began to talk about, and getting into Blue Books, and also into listening to Reggie Gold, starting to listen to Reggie Gold. So, excuse me. So now I'm starting to get the understanding that if you have a vertebral subluxation, it's an interference to the expression of life or the innate intelligence. So it's an interference to your body functioning the way it's supposed to be. So then I began to understand that whether you had a fever, you had a flu, you didn't have a fever, you didn't have a flu, you had back pain, you had neck pain, or you didn't have back pain, or you didn't have neck pain, that adjusting the vertebral subluxation would cause your body to work the way that it's supposed to be. And my understanding of that is that we have a universal intelligence in all matter, causing it to be what it is. And our body has an innate intelligence that is set up and works that way. And as a chiropractor, we don't have to know who created the system, although many of us believe that. Chiropractic is not necessarily a religion. You don't have to have any religion at all to observe the intelligence that's working both in the body, but a universal intelligence that giving property to all matter. So then my understanding began to be that, we're going to adjust people for vertebral subluxation. And then that's what got me into the Garden State Chiropractic Society, is because our vision and mission is to protect and promote the practice of locating, detecting, and correcting vertebral subluxation when it is present, because it is an interference to the expression of life. And I know this is an exciting time in chiropractic. I know many of you might know him and are friends with him as too. Claude Lessard is writing a book kind of expounding on the 33 principles. And we all know with Reggie Gold and triune of life and the letter N. But my understanding began to broaden and expand to the fact that any time a vertebral subluxation is present, it should be corrected. So that's where I came out of, and I graduated NYCC. And when I came out of school, I don't see a lot of times chiropractic meetings, we don't see too many young people, right? We want, like, where's the young graduates today? But I'm kind of, if there are any young graduates out of there today, I'm kind of just explaining a little bit about my walk. When I came out, I wanted to be an associate in the beginning, but I found out that either you were going to be working for a PIP office or you were going to get paid nothing. And I'm sure some of you had good associate meetings. And I also used to talk a lot with Pasquale Sarasoli. Some of you know him from Brooklyn, New York. And one of the things that he taught me, he said, Jay, he goes, if you know something's right, just go and do it. And he said, create the practice you want. Don't worry about everybody else. Go out and just open up your practice and do things the way you want. And I've been doing things the way that I want since 1996. Some things changed. I work by myself. I don't have a CA. I do accept insurance, so I do have an office manager that takes care of that. So basically, I keep things lowest common denominator as simple as possible. So does anybody have any? Where do you want to go with this, John?
First of all, whoever's on the call now, because I got rid of the people that were disturbing, you guys can unmute yourselves. Jay, I got to say, for coming out of New York and then going through the first model, the second model, and then the third model that Reggie brought up about you adjust somebody for subluxation because it's an interference to life expression in the body, and it's not for any particular reason other than that. That's a pretty big journey that you went on. I have a question. Did you get the green books in school or after school?
The green books and the blue books I got in school. Blue books I got when I was in clinic.
Wow.
So I was, yeah.
There's a couple of New York docs on here. That's amazing because those books were very frowned on in that school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm just a regular person like anybody else, but I'm a person of using rational thought and logic. They call it deductive versus inductive reasoning. And when you look at deductive reasoning, I kind of came to these conclusions myself because I was doing the therapies and nothing was happening. And then I began to see with the adjustments that definitely changes happened. It's just you can't really pigeonhole it to we're treating a condition or a disease, but we're correcting the vertebral subluxation again because it's interference to the expression of life. So if you have back or neck pain or headaches, you need to get checked for vertebral subluxation. If you don't have back pain, neck pain, or headaches, you need to be checked for vertebral subluxation. But I do believe that chiropractic puts your body in the best position for healing. It's just not for a condition or disease. So
we've had Mark Romano on the call, and everything you said is very reflective of everything he said. One of the things he brought up in a private conversation I had with him was when you don't have the instruments and you just have your hands and you're working with just the adjustment because you expect to see changes, you expect miracles, they come, they happen. He said when you're doing stuff with modalities, he goes, you don't see it because you're not expecting anything. This is a really interesting conversation for me. Brian, Leo, Dave, Gary, Jeff, any questions?
Jay and I, we've met on the phone a couple times. We've had some conversations. It's good to finally see you in person.
Yes,
Jay's given me some. Jay through the Garden State and their objectives on their website have given me some good ideas for the Chiropractic Fellowship of Pennsylvania to try to keep our verbiage clean and all that stuff. And John, just to touch on what you said about Mark Romano and modalities, I know some of you may have seen James Chester recently put a post up that said how many people use SoftWave in their office, and 90% of the responses were yes, I do. And it was just sad, really sad, because like you said, Jay, when you're without your tools, what do? You got your hands, and are you going to be able to take care of somebody without a SoftWave in your pocket? It's really challenging to keep this message going to the up and coming chiropractors, and that's kind of our responsibility at this point.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jeff. And one of the things which I notice about chiropractic is because I adjust people out here, and my main office is in Metuchen, but I live in Flemington. So people ask me, so I keep a table out here and I adjust people out here. It's probably the lowest overhead profession that you could get into because what is your overhead? Face paper. It helps to have and a table, right? And if you go on Facebook Marketplace, you could find the table probably for free. I know both I have a Zenith high-low, like 79, 80s vintage, and I have a Lloyd Galaxy 1988 vintage. And both of them were given to me. So it's kind of amazing how low cost it can be to get into chiropractic. Now, of course, another discussion we could have, the hurdle is how do we get over education, right? The expense of education is outrageous, but that's for any profession nowadays. But yeah, so good point. Yeah, just real quick, I just wanted to emphasize too that even though I am a straight chiropractor, I do recognize, because this is kind of in between the two, the traditional model of chiropractic and the objective straight chiropractic model. And I usually say something controversial that somebody will get upset and hate me with. But I do also still believe that chiropractic is a healing modality and art. So things do happen in the body. I know sometimes with the objective straight chiropractors, we get so much into we're just adjusting the vertebral subluxation. But I still believe that miracles do happen. But we're not treating the condition or disease. We're allowing the innate intelligence of the body to function the way it was supposed to, in my tradition, the way it was made. And that's what we're doing. We're getting
Jay,
the body back to the way it was
interesting
made.
for me because I had two miracles, one at 14 and one at 19. And the 19 was basically because I was doing construction, making a lot of money. And the one at 19 was wake up and go to school. But the idea is that, it does have an effect on the body and people can heal, but it should not be our main reason for adjusting someone. We have to meet people where they're at. So yes, I tell people when you come in and talk to me about your symptoms, it gives me a guide where in your spine there may be some disturbance. And I'm sure your body will clear that up as we go, but it may not be the first priority. I don't control how your body heals. So really, really interesting stuff. If you've waded through the green books and you've waded through the blue books, thank God for Joe, because he made a lot of this stuff much more understandable. But at the same time, he really held things to a very high standard. And I know Claude's doing the same thing. I haven't got any Claude's books yet, but I've been paying attention to what's going on down there at Sherman, and he's working with Sherman as part of this whole process. So,
Yeah.
it's going to be very interesting. And Mark has brought up some of this stuff when he talked for us, and then he talked for the council. Jeff, I think something that you guys should talk about is between the Connecticut Chiropractic Council, the New York Chiropractic Council, the Garden State Chiropractic Society, and the Fellowship, there's quite a bit of linear alignment, and the group should sort of work together in collaboration at some point, so that if you guys have good ideas, you can borrow from each other, but at the same time, you don't have to repeat mistakes. Anybody else have any questions, comments? This is a fascinating conversation.
Hey.
So I'm ask you to step up.
Jason, I want to thank you for your share. I think you're awesome about your evolution as a chiropractor, coming through school and actually having the smarts to read the books. But I think it's interesting, even if you've been in practice more than 15 years or 30 years, it's still an evolution, and you get to a point where your faith in chiropractic and your faith in the body innate to heal gets so strong that, you just expect people to do better. And
Yes.
adjusting, somebody where you feel the subluxation is most affecting the central nervous system, it's going to make a difference. And when you come from that place and it coming from love, it makes a big difference in how the people respond. Some people might not want it because they want like black and white, and other people say, I'm going to hang out and see what happens, and you'll see miracles. And that's how it works. So
That's a good point. I appreciate that edification. That's smart and that's good. So I appreciate that.
yeah, but thanks for your share, man. You're awesome.
Well, appreciate it. Chiropractic's awesome.
All right.
Jason, I have a question, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
First of all, thanks for being here and thanks for sharing your story, man. You must have been hiding those green books and blue books in the clinic, in a brown paper bag.
I never hid anything, and again, that's why I took a lot of heat. because
Okay.
the clinicians, I told them, I said, I will fulfill my requirements and do my therapies and stuff. But I'm a straight chiropractor. And then, you know, I would talk to my patients about it back then. And I still believe in the term principled chiropractor. But, you know, one of my one of the people I was taking care of, you know, said to the clinician, and I didn't really tell her to do this, but she's like, I want a principled chiropractor for my clinician.
Wow.
And it
Can I ask you
drove
what clinic did you go to?
what?
Where'd you do your clinic?
Well, I did my clinic in Long Island.
Levittown. Oh my God.
Division Avenue, baby.
Levittown. And
Right.
and
Yeah.
the clinicians were looking for almost any reason to fail me. But I believe that I had somebody with me, maybe somebody above me, because I had a Dr. Spano, who was really, really out to get me. Okay. And we became very good friends, by the way. So he would grill me on the x-rays. And I'm pretty astute with x-rays, but he'd ask me, like, I said, there's an aneurysm in this artery. He goes, what artery is it? I'm like, well, I know it's not the aorta. And I forgot which one I named. He goes, it doesn't matter. He goes, this is a splenic artery aneurysm. I said, oh, okay. He goes, this is rare. He goes, can I get a copy of this x-ray and can I write up a thing on this? And I said, yeah, sure. So after that, he became like my best friend. He goes, I don't really understand you.
That's when Joe Pfeiffer was running the clinic. That must have been an interesting time.
Who was running?
Joe Pfeiffer. Yep.
Pfeiffer, yep.
Yep.
And I think it was Joseph Napolitano was the president.
Nappy.
No, not at 95. That would have been still in Frank Nietzsche.
No, Nietzsche was there, but I think it was who was the guy who was wasn't Napolitano?
There was Paget, and then
it might have been Friedman. He had cowboy boots. He
Yeah,
put
that
them
was
up on the
Friedman.
desk.
That was Friedman. Yep, Friedman.
And he asked me,
Friedman was
like,
still there?
he put the boots up on the desk, and he asked me a couple questions, and I was like, you know, and he gave me my degree. So somehow, by the grace of God, I got through. But I never hid who I was, and you know, I was pretty bold, and they graduated me.
Oh, good.
They're like, I don't know. The clinicians would say, I don't understand why you want to do this. I don't understand why you want to do this. I'm like,
well, profession's better for you, man. I got to tell you.
Yeah. And by the way, I got along very well with Frank Nietzsche. He's a very nice guy.
Oh yeah, Frank's a good guy.
I didn't have any problems with him at all. I had Dr. Nerley, Serge Nerley.
Yeah, Serge.
And Dr. Oz, Bosmick or Ozmick.
Peter, what was his name?
Ozonian?
Ozonian, yeah.
He was a genius with lab tests. I learned a lot from him. See, I think as chiropractors, we can learn science, we can learn lab tests, but they don't really have anything to do with what we're doing. You know what I'm saying? You could learn things and be educated, but they're not necessarily germane to your profession. So I'm not saying they even have to be taught at a chiropractic school. I'm just saying there's nothing wrong with learning something. Mm-hmm. And I learned a lot from Dr. O about lab tests and stuff like that. So
Peter Ozonian, he was a good guy.
Yeah.
Yep. And what was the other one? Tom, he's an older guy. Ventimiglia.
Ventimiglia. Yeah, he was still clinician back then, huh? Okay.
Yeah, he was really good. And I forget who the dean was at the time when I was upstate. Oh gosh.
Paget. It was by Paget.
No, it was Paget, and then it switched to another guy. Paget didn't like me at all. He did not like me personally, because he was pushing like HMOs and all this stuff. And I said, and I basically, you know, talked to him, and I said, I don't agree with the direction that you're going with these HMOs and all this other stuff. And he hated me. So, and then
Yeah,
then
they
the
don't
other
like when
dean,
people disagree with them. They get pissed
yeah,
off at alumni who don't agree with them.
yeah, because I think it was just like a money thing. I have no idea. Why would you want to go down an HMO route? I didn't know why they were heading that route.
Here.
But I wasn't popular with him. The other dean, I forget. He wasn't a bad guy. And then back then I was a power lifter, so it was Yuhas. So all the people used to call me House, like House, because I could literally like lift like a
A lot of
house.
weight. Yeah.
So now I'm happy to get out of bed, but he started calling me in the hallways, "Hey, House." I'm like, the dean of the school is calling me House. I was like, okay.
Jason, I have a question for you. What was your entry into the Garden State Chiropractic Society, and how did you move up to president?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, first off, I'll tell you how I moved up to president. They had a board meeting, and I was in the bathroom, and I came out, and I was elected president.
Myself and a couple of the guys, we've been on the
You
board
know,
for the
you
New
know how
Chiropractic
that one
Council. We know
happens.
exactly how that happens.
I guess I've just been around for a while, but it was my turn. And so how I got into the Garden State, okay? I read all these blue books. I didn't know of any chiropractic organization at all. Back then, there was the New Jersey Council, which was pretty cool. But then they disbanded, or they went into ANJC or something. And if you were a council member, ANJC member, I'm not trying to, say anything bad about you or anything, but I didn't know of any philosophical organizations. So somebody told me, if you're practicing in New Jersey, you need to go have a sit down with Joe D. And I'm like, did I do something wrong? Joe Donofrio.
Yep, we know.
Paramus, yeah. So
God rest him.
they told me I need to go and sit down with Joe D. I didn't realize in New Jersey that it's very Italian over here. So I said I went to go visit Joe D, because that's what they told me. Go visit Joe D. You need to sit down with him. And back then he was still smoking cigarettes, because Innate takes care of it. Have a sub sandwich, smoke some cigarettes, have a couple beers, whatever. So anyway, I sit down, he's smoking cigarettes while he's talking to me about chiropractic. This is just how it was. I'm not sugarcoating it. So he's telling me, about practice, and by that time I had a pretty good philosophical understanding of what I was doing. I just had no group. So, I said, well, why should I join the Garden State? Because I've never been a joiner, really, just do my own thing and be quiet. So he's like, well, he goes, Joe D is a man of few words, and we know he's passed on, but the wisdom that he had, he didn't really say a lot. He just said one thing to me, and it impacted me. He said, no man is an island. That's all he said. He didn't say it's a great group, or, we have parties, or, you're going to get CE credits. He just said, no man's an island. And that just resonated with me. And I'm sitting there, and a year and a half later, I'm like, you know what? I want to get off this island, So I went to the Garden State, and, I've just been going to the meetings ever since. And here I am. So I think, we're going to have I'm going to be ending my term soon. There's going to be another younger person coming in, Dr. Frank Hahn. I don't know if any of you know him.
I know Frankie, yeah.
Yeah, he's on the Sherman board, and he's just on fire for chiropractic. So it's going to be time for somebody else to take over. There's so many stories in the Garden State Chiropractic Society. I actually took over for a president who quit because he was getting death threats from another chiropractic group. You can't make this stuff up. I think
my God.
So I said, I'll step in.
I got to say, you guys put on a really good program. I went out there 2 years ago with Dr. Greg Rubenstein when he became president of New York Chiropractic College. The New York Chiropractic Council. And I was really impressed with the program, and you guys were very, very gracious to us.
Oh, I'm glad. One more story. New Jersey's just an interesting place. New York is too. I know. I did my internship in Long Island. I loved it. I lived in East Meadow, and
All
we
right.
went to Jones Beach and Robert Moses, and it's just awesome place out there. But New Jersey's a little wacky too. So we used to go to we still do. We go to the state board meetings to observe and take minutes and those type of things. And I went with Dr. Bob Berkowitz, who's in our organization, and I'll tell you, I don't know how I became president because I get very tired of meetings, So they're going on and on and on, and I fall asleep in the meeting, and I'm like literally snoring, and Bob's trying to wake me up, and then all the other group of chiropractors are there, and at first I guess they didn't know me in person because I was the new president, so they thought I was a new student. Oh, are you a new chiropractor or whatever? I said, no, I'm president of the Garden State. And you would have thought a bomb dropped in the place. All of a sudden, it got like really quiet. And they had a lawyer at the time. This was when they were trying to broaden the scope of chiropractic to like you can check anything, including internal organs. So, we kind of had to step up there. So, we're all walking out of the meeting and we're heading to the elevator. And, I'm trying to be friendly and cordial and talk to people. And the elevator opened, everybody stepped back, and the only one who got in the elevator with me was their lawyer. And I talked to the lawyer. I said, what's going on? It was just something I said. I said, and the lawyer said, he goes, these people are wacky. That's what the lawyer said. He goes, I'm John, I'm counsel. I'm like, hi, I'm Jay, But I've got a lot of stories like that. But I've never, really tried to make war over here. We just want to be able to adjust the vertebral subluxation in the presence or absence of symptoms, and that to be in our law. So we always tell them, like, if you just give us this, we'll leave you alone, except when they tried to broaden the scope that big. But, that's all we were looking for. And they finally just give them that. So New Jersey, we're a pretty strong state law-wise.
That's awesome.
You are actually quite. I read the law over there. It's pretty amazing law.
Yeah.
So well done. Well,
Yeah.
I'm going to take a few minutes. Anybody want to give Jay any appreciation? Any final questions before we end the meeting?
Jay, from a fellow New York alumni, 1990. I'm glad you gave him hell. Glad you gave him hell up there, and I love the presentation was fantastic because you know what I love hearing. This is why we get together. I love hearing the fact that how simple yet profound chiropractic is applied appropriately, and it reminded me when you talked about miracles. That when I was out of Palmer. Doing the philosophy debate, I got to meet Bud Crowder, who ran BJ's clinic, and Bud said what you said. They expected it. They expected miracles when when you remove that interference, then why wouldn't the person heal? And whatever happens, but they know miracles will happen when you reconnect. And they never expected whatever it was, but they weren't surprised by it when it did. So it was really cool. Just made me think about that. I really appreciate your sharing.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And I think even with our group, I think sometimes we get too stuffy with the philosophy that we don't make room for that expectation of miracles and that observing of miracles, because I really believe that is part of what we do.
And pain and pain is a miracle. So this way people wake up.
Yes, if you're feeling pain, you're alive.
Right.
Yes,
exactly.
Pain's a great motivator.
Jason, hi. I'd like to thank you for really giving them hell, because honestly, I'm surprised that nobody has sued the school. And I actually would wish that that someone would, a group of students or someone would get together and sue the school. My experience was that I asked questions because I like to get down to the truth. And they told me I was asking too many questions. Now, when I stopped asking questions, the students came up to me and said, "Why are you not asking questions? I have the same questions." So now we can't get our questions answered. So the only reason why I became a principal chiropractor is because I started to look further, and I was blessed enough to meet Dr. John, and that's how that's the start of my journey as a principal chiropractor. So I had no idea what chiropractic really was in school. And so that's why I feel like at this point, they're not even having people really adjust. Did I know what I was doing when I got out of school, how to adjust? No.
Wow.
But we actually were adjusting, but we couldn't adjust the segment of complaint or the area of complaint in clinic in Long Island. And some of those people you spoke about are not so great. And I was at the top of my class. So they had nothing to say to me, although I did take a trimester off because I almost had a nervous breakdown and I went back and finished it. But that, I had some really amazing teachers in my corner that like had my back. And so, and some friends that's how I got through school. But, I told Neil Cohen when I heard him speak for the first time when he was president of Sherman, that I literally would go back to chiropractic school if I could get a free ride to go to Sherman, because I wanted to re-educate myself and really understand what real chiropractic is. Because how do you work in a profession or know anything or teach, communicate how if you have no idea what you're doing?
It's a good point. And censorship and creating one school of thought is definitely a difficulty. I do want to tell you this, Alana. For the first couple of years that I graduated, I wanted to burn down my school, but time does heal all wounds, and you realize that there's a lot of human beings with a lack of understanding, and when you put that together with control and power, it can lead to disastrous results. But I kind of separate the human being from the human doing, so to speak. But you definitely, I did, speak truth to power as much as I could, and I still do that today. So so you don't do this to be popular. You do it because it's the right thing to do. So
100%.
Yeah, I probably, knowing what I know, would not go back to my alma mater by far. I would likely at this point, I would believe, go to Sherman, but I honestly don't think, and forgive me because there's Sherman grads here, and I like Jack Borah a lot. I know him personally, but there are 0 straight chiropractic schools in America that exist. So you have to find the best one to go through and find support from chiropractors and other people. And one of the hardest things to do is learn how to adjust at chiropractic school. Yeah, you're right.
Dr. Jay Yuhas, I see you unmuted yourself. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Jay, although I don't know you, I'm relatively new on the call. I'm a Garden State native, and I opened in 1990 in New Jersey when I came back to New Jersey and got licensed there. I stayed there for a brief time. I have to acknowledge, you said so many things, but what stuck to me was the day that I went to go visit Dr. Joe Donofrio in his home office, and brought my dad to turn my dad on to chiropractic and have him meet some chiropractors, not knowing really who I was about to meet. And I'll never forget his home office when I pulled up, and he said, "Just come on over. I'll be seeing people." We walked in, and he was really kind. He had the high-low. He had a yellow legal pad, and he just had people write their name, and they just went up and down on the high-low. He adjusted them. My dad and I sat there and observed, and then he was kind enough on his lunch break to take us into his office and light up a Marlboro in front of my dad, which I didn't know was coming. And I was really, I was on fire for chiropractic, but I had never witnessed that behavior. And it wasn't computing because I was a Michael Kale upper cervical knee chest practitioner.
Yeah, I know.
And I was a little blown away, and I was grateful. And my dad had, when we left, and he said, listen, don't sweat it. You'll be just fine. Do your own thing. And I had the occasion to bump into him a few times after that, within the year or two, in New Jersey, which was a rockin' state, powerhouse state at that time. And it sticks out. You mentioned Joe Donofrio. My God, I don't hear many people speak about that man. And that same year, I went to Sherman for their homecoming, and I witnessed Guy Reichman and Claude Lessard with Arnaud Bernier. Those are the three characters I remembered from observing their homecoming. And I had never been to Sherman, but Dr. Kale couldn't stop talking about Lyle Sherman because that was his mentor. And he was the guy who managed and controlled the B.J. Palmer clinic back in the day while B.J. was alive. And he was his number one disciple. And I just could never hear the end of that. So it was a real moving time. Thanks for bringing me back to New Jersey for that brief stint that I was fortunate enough to be in. And the question I got is, because New Jersey's still in my blood, although I'm a New York native far longer, actually. Do you have a weekly call, like this Long Island call, for instance, is weekly? And do you have like a weekly kind of, I guess, call? And if not, is there anything else? I have very close friends that also opened in 1990 that I'm reconnecting with. That,
we don't. Yeah.
Go ahead.
New Jersey is definitely in transition. There was a huge fight to keep the vertebral subluxation in, and a lot of people got worn out, including my predecessor, who was receiving threats on his life, which I knew were they were nothing, but it was just it was crazy time, and now we're trying to create a new spirit and new life in our organization. Our convention is our big thing. And we have quarterly meetings. We don't have a weekly call. You guys are weekly or monthly? You're weekly.
Or every 2 weeks we do the Band of Brothers.
Every 2 weeks. So you make a good point in doing some of these things. We donate a huge amount. I don't know how many. I have to look it up. We donate blue books to Sherman. We're doing that. We paid for a Joe D. wall of memorial at Sherman, but we don't meet nearly as much or as often as we should be, especially considering, look at what's happening in chiropractic, right? I'm sorry to get political, but look at this national board thing, right? If this thing comes to pass that people have to go for like a part 5 and they have to go to Colorado, that's a tremendous burden upon students. As it is, it's a burden, all these different parts. And we're trying to create, you guys have probably seen the IACE and all this other stuff. We're trying to create an alternative accrediting agency so we don't have to go through this stuff anymore. But
Tony DeMarco's involved with that, so I know about that.
Yes, yeah. And being in New Jersey, I'm very friendly with Dr. DeMarco. I practice in a couple miles over from him, so He's a huge lion in chiropractic. He still speaks at our meetings. And
Jay, you should come down to New Beginnings, maybe in October when the next one is. There's a lot of people down there the same mind as you, and a lot of Jersey guys.
Yeah, I've been to New Beginnings in the past for sure, and I know.
Come on down.
It's our
35th anniversary. I'm full disclosure. I'm on the New Beginnings board. You're welcome to come down, sir.
It's what year of anniversary?
It's the 35th anniversary of New Beginnings.
35th. Okay.
35 years they've been doing this. Jim DeBell's been doing it for 35 years.
Was Jim DeBell the one who started it?
Yeah,
he was, sir. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I have a good Jim DeBell story. I don't know how he got to visit the NYCC clinic, right? The outlaw, right? Jim DeBell. So somehow he got the ability to visit our New York clinic and talk to us. So I thought this guy is crazy. He brought out an ultrasound machine, and he started picking it up like it's a telephone. Hello. He goes, "What is this thing? A telephone?" And he goes, it was just funny. He goes, "What am I going to use this thing for?" And he started talking about like adjusting with his hands. And I don't know how they let him in, but he came in and he gave a talk. Alana would have wanted to be there, but
that was actually one of the New York State Chiropractic Association Council joint meetings. We had Chris Kent there. We had Jim DeBell there. It was quite a funny time.
Yeah, he picked it up like it was a telephone. What is this thing? A telephone? What do you use this thing for? And I was like, this guy's crazy. I mean, and then we had another guy. I don't know if he's part of your group. It might have been is Dr. Drobin still around?
Yeah, Doug. Sure. Doug Drobin.
Yeah, Dr. Drobin. We used to quote him because he would come in and talk about getting as many no's as possible, like going out and getting rejected. He goes, "I love getting rejected." He goes, "I go out in places, I guess he was single at the time. I'll ask out like 20 girls and one, and then I'm saying, I'll tell 100 people about chiropractic." He goes, I love getting no's because the next one could be a yes.
Yeah, he said the amount of no's just moves him closer to the yes.
And then he talked about turning the corner. He goes, what you got to do is Jay, you got to turn the corner. And my friend Anthony Banis, who's in Staten Island, I think he's still practicing, and he's a straight chiropractor. He did Pierce Stillwagon and stuff like that. But we'd be talking about like, what is he talking about? Turn the corner. We got to turn the corner. And he would talk about being outrageous and wearing like, colored shirts. So we would go down to DE and wear Hawaiian shirts and stuff. And he's a good guy. He's still hanging around.
Doug's still around. Yeah, Doug's
great guy.
Around. He's still in practice.
He wouldn't even know that he inspired us the way he did. We were like, "Yeah, we got to get more no's. We got to get more no's."
Jay, I really thank you for coming on tonight. It's been quite the hoot.
Appreciate
I had a lot
you
of laughs today. Everybody, thanks for coming on. We have Dr. John Marr coming on next Banner Brothers in 2 weeks. He's going to be doing some of the presentation he did down at New Beginnings. If you have not seen that or heard what he did, this is definitely something you should pay attention to. He makes a whole lot of sense about some of the misunderstanding of our language. So this is going to be really cool stuff. Everybody have a great night. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you guys in a couple of weeks.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thanks, Jay.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Thanks, Jay.
Good evening.
Thanks, Jay.